Our next session is Beauty and the Byline. I'm talking to a few of my favorite beauty editors about how to sell your brand story. Why is that important? Because you need to access new customers, reach wider audiences, and get those press hits to convert those sales. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the AMP Academy. My name is Angel Lenise, co-founder and chief creative officer at AMP Beauty LA. We are a digital beauty destination for all textures and all shades. And we are starting our AMP Academy session with an amazing conversation moderated by yours truly, featuring some amazing beauty editors, reporters, and writers who are going to help us refine, find, and sell our brand story. I'll give you a little bit of background about the AMP Academy before we get started, and I introduce our panelists. When we started AMP Beauty LA 2 years ago, we had no idea what we were doing. We were still trying to bootstrap and figure things out, and we're still working our way through how to build our business today. But a key instrumental part of our success so far has been storytelling. Today's session is called Beauty and the Byline, how to sell your brand story, and it is powered by our friends at Switcher Studio. So you cannot have a successful business without selling a story that resonates with your community and connects to your customers on a thoughtful way and thoughtful level. So today we'll be joined by three editors, writers, and reporters in the beauty world that I love, adore, have worked with, and am inspired by. First up, we have Chloe Hall. Chloe oversees beauty coverage at Elle.com. She knew she wanted to get into beauty the moment that Donna Summer came on her screen, and she's been chasing the perfect disco shadows ever since. Her sweet spot is the intersection of beauty with current culture, whether it's music, movies, or social media. You can find her in Brooklyn with her pug or in Rihanna's comment section. She just met Riri. They're officially best friends. That's an exclusive. You heard it here first. We're also going to be joined by Darian Harvin. Darian is a reporter, a culture writer, and a news curation editor who covers beauty at the intersection of politics and pop culture. She's also recently the newly minted beauty editor at large for the Los Angeles Times' culture magazine, Image. Congratulations again, Darian. As a former news curation and social media editor for BuzzFeed News, Teen Vogue, and Yahoo News, she now uses her journalism and curation skills to craft distinct narratives on how beauty affects our lives. She's interviewed some of the most relevant artists today, TikTok stars, Billboard #1 artists, Oscar winners for the New York Times, The Cut, and Allure. She began her post-college career as an intern at Parkwood Entertainment, NBC News, and a local news station, WIVB Buffalo. She landed her first job as a program coordinator on the news magazine show Dateline NBC. And she's not just good with the pen, y'all. She DJs disco music, and she loves going to the beach like most folks on the West Coast do. So I feel you on that one. She was born in Long Beach, grew up in Buffalo, and currently resides in Los Angeles, California. And last but certainly not least, the youngest in charge, Miss Asia Ware. Asia Ware is currently New York Magazine's The Cut fashion and beauty junior writer. The New York native has bylines in Teen Vogue, where she was formerly an editorial assistant, in Style Magazine, Essence Magazine, and Paper Magazine. Through her career, she's reported on fashion and beauty through a lens of her own, conducted celebrity interviews, and more. She is passionate about beauty, fashion, and wellness, and she's become an expert in the industry through her writing. She's a graduate of Hampton University, and I have to shout out, I'm a Clark Atlanta girl. I love my HBCUs. And she also prides herself on celebrating and highlighting Black beauty, especially through her reporting. Ladies, it's the credentials for me, it's the resumes, it's the expertise. I'm so excited to have you all. Thank you for joining the AMP Academy.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, I'm so excited. So, friends tuning in, we have 40 minutes with these amazing women. So, I'm just going to jump right in if that's okay with you guys. And this question is for all three of you ladies. What has been the best beauty brand pitch you've gotten in the last year?
I can start just because it's such a good one. I feel like everyone would want to say it. But I don't know if it was last year, but the launch of Ami Collet, which we all know is like a Black-owned beauty brand that just happened, was just incredible. I think the storytelling that went into it, like the founder was posting, swatching, color testing, like it was just this whole narrative to build up. And then finally, when it launched, like the press release was just beautifully written, telling this incredible story with like purpose and passion. And then the products worked, and there was so much in transparency in like the ingredients, what works, what didn't, that I thought it was just like a brilliant launch. It was in the New York Times, it was everywhere, and I feel like the brand is just it's just one of my favorite brands. One, because the founders are so incredible, and two, because the products actually work and there's like so much substance there.
Yeah, agreed. I think that was a major moment. Also, looking at her journey, the brand founder story from editorial to launching beauty, I felt like she came and launched her brand through the approach of telling a story. And of course, the products are amazing, they work, they're effective, but she really utilized her editorial background to really hit the ground running on her launch. Darian, what about you?
Yeah, I would say that my favorite pitches in general, I feel like are pitches where maybe it may not be like the introduction of the brand, but it's more of that they're able to tie something that is either happening around an event or something with the news, or sometimes even a trend around how their product and their brand fits into what else is happening. Whether it's within their own community, whether it's even around something that they've done, or a way that they've kind of even as a team gotten their feet on the ground and maybe did something, or kind of like acted in a way that almost was very much even a representation of the brand itself. So I really like pitches that are around like, show me how else your brand really fits into all the conversations that we're having.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And what about you, Asia?
I agree with both of you. Those are so good. For me, in the past year, I think my favorite has been Modu. It is a black-owned fragrance brand that launched a few months ago. And I just remember from the instant they pitched it, it was just tied so much into emotion. And for one, I feel like pitching fragrance is really hard, right? Because selling a scent through a screen is just something that you really, really have to go into describing notes, describing all of these things. And they just really went into how, scent is super connected to our emotion. And I feel like beauty is just, it's an emotional thing. It's an emotional being. And I feel like for fragrance, it's really hard to do that. And so that would have to have been my favorite. And even just with like the founder story of like starting before COVID hit and then picking back up, and really
Hmm.
just tying also fragrance into self-care and making it something that is just bigger than smelling good but feeling good.
Right.
That would have to have been my favorite.
Yes, I just got my order. I ordered a sample, and I have to shout out that brand founder, Brianna Arps. She's an amazing young woman, and she created this brand herself. She's done all of the packaging and design. And when I got my package, to your point, Asia, my favorite thing about it was not just the fragrance and the experience, but the story that she told in her packaging. She's very, very transparent. And one thing I really admire about her brand, and we see it with Diara's brand as well, Chloe, is that founders these days are not speaking from the perspective of being a brand or an entity or pushing a product. Founders and businesses, and even more storied and established brands now are realizing I have to connect with people as a person. And I know you three, in working for beauty and editorial, your inboxes are flooded. I worked side by side with Chloe for several years, and not only did I see her inbox overflow, I also saw the beauty closet overflow with all of the new and amazing products that you received throughout your tenure that you're still getting now, I'm sure. When you all are getting these emails, you're getting these pitches, probably text sometimes, new products, how do you sift through? What do you see? What makes you say, I'm going to ignore or put these other emails and pitches to the side right now and key in on this email, on this product now? And Chloe, we can start with you.
Yeah, totally. Angel, working with you is my favorite thing in the world, and I genuinely miss it. So let's not forget that. But okay, I think the two things for me, one, I think the first is like radical transparency. So I feel like with beauty, you know, it could lean itself to superficiality or things like that. But I feel like when brands are so like open about ingredients, products, you know, who's signed on to make it, giving me access to founders, to chemists, to whoever it may be, like that is the ideal world that I kind of want to operate in. And then the second one I would say is, I always like to kind of say this is like, I want them to get it right the first time. So I feel like I hate when I open an email and they're like, our more shades are coming, or, you know, in 3 months, we're going to have this product extension, or we're addressing, you know, the waste in the packaging in 3 months in Q4. And I just feel like I'd rather wait, you know, a year or 2 years or 6 months to have this like perfect product. We could even talk about it while you're working through it, then launch and then want to address all of the further issues. So I guess those are my two things I look for: radical transparency, and then just, you know, getting it right the first time, or taking your time. It feels really thoughtful to me, instead of just rushing to market with, you know, 3 shades, you know, rush to market with 50 or 60 or whatever it may be.
Yeah, I love that perspective. And you're preaching to me as like a co-founder of Amp Beauty LA too.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, I'm a millennial, and I feel like millennials differ from younger generations because we're bred to present in a certain way and aim for that perfection. So sometimes it feels like we're stalling, or we're not moving with a sense of urgency because we want to get things right. And I think we also have to key in on the reality of being Black women, being underrepresented in the space on both the editorial side, on the professional side. As writers behind the Byline, you guys are in the majority, or the minority, excuse me. And then as brand founders, you know, we want to get it right. And it's okay to take your time. There's time to launch and grow and evolve. And I think, Chloe, in establishing those conversations with editors and writers early and letting them know this is what we have plan ahead, you're really engaging and starting a more authentic relationship versus saying, hey, Chloe, it's St. Patrick's Day. Here's some green eyeshadow. So I love that approach. Asia, what about you?
I think there's two things for me as well. The first thing is actually what you touched on, when founders realize that it's more so about the founder and the story than the brand. So I love hearing about, you know, instead of just like, oh, this oil is going to be great for your skin. I love hearing that the founder, you know, started this oil because there's some, you know, something in their childhood that like really connected with this, or they, you know, went to a dermatologist and they had a special story of like why nothing worked from this or something like that. I think that founder stories are really, really attractive to me, because it feels a lot more personal. And beauty is something that is personal to us. Second, I'm just big. I mean, it's so cliche, but I'm so big on authenticity. I feel like so many people are just like pitching on like, hey, I want this coverage, hey, I want this coverage, hey, I want this coverage, when the reality is, like you said, a lot of us are underrepresented, you know, lack resources. And I feel like you can just come to us, and instead of being like, I really want this coverage, or I really want this story, like, I'm so open to people who are just like, hey, I'm starting this brand, I don't really know what I'm doing, if you could try it and tell me like what you like about it, what you don't like about it. You know, I feel like that is so much more receptive than just like, I want this coverage, I want this coverage, I want this coverage. Because we get it, right? We know that a lot of Black women don't have the same resources. A lot of Black women, like, we don't have the same access as a lot of these larger brands. And so I'm really big on authenticity. Like, come and just tell us like, hey, this is what I have. You know, it's not much, or even if it is a lot, tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like, help me, how can you guide me? I think just being authentic like that, instead of just making it seem like, I need this press hit for sales, it really creates a relationship, and it just makes a huge difference in an email.
I love that you said brand founders should come to you, or editors or writers, and say, what do you like? What do you not like? Do you have any advice? I feel like often when we are engaging with editors or people who can give us press and coverage, it is just give me coverage, write about me. But you all are not, you're women, you're beauty consumers, you're experts in this space. And like, I would much rather get consultation from a writer or someone who knows all of these trends and is abreast of everything that's happening, or has foresight on what's going to be happening in beauty in the next few months, versus saying, okay, I need to invest thousands of dollars and pay a consultant who might not even really have true expertise. So I love that approach too. Like, it's not always about trying to sell your story, but also talking to the people who are telling those stories, telling our stories, and saying, hey, what do you actually really think? Would you buy this as a consumer? Would you engage with this product if you saw it in the store? Not Darian or Asia or Chloe, the editor, but Darian, Chloe, and Asia, the beauty lovers and the customers who shop beauty just like me. Darian, did you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I would say if I could add anything to all of the amazing information that Chloe and Asia already shared, I would say that I would start to become very familiar with the publications that you say you really want to be in. I would really start to just spend a little bit more time looking at what they cover and distinguishing how in the different kinds of topics or different focuses that different publications have. Like for example, I'm working within a magazine that is more fully like a culture magazine within LA. And so there is a specificity with like the publication and what we write about versus I know that if I pick up an issue of Elle, it is all going to be focused around beauty, lifestyle. It's going to feel more national, international. And I know that there's going to be a star in it who like we all are paying attention to right now. And I think that if you really take an opportunity or a chance to look at what sort of gift what would be the word for it? Like really taking a chance to look at even like when they do put in products or they do spotlights, what do those look like? What are they titled? What types of founders are they covering? I think all of that can really help you to even just get abreast with like who is getting coverage and why may that be. And then I think the second thing as well is that although you may not know or you may not be able to figure out what issues or what topics or what packages or features are coming up for a magazine, look in the past at what they've done. Look at the different kinds of packages or things that they've put together around different areas of beauty. And I think that like I actually love when a publicist or a brand will like ask me what I'm working on, because I could, for example, like the latest issue of Image Mag came out today, and it's all around like shine. So we have this section called Coveted. It's like a front of the book where I do a curation of like beauty, wellness, like home items. And so shine was very much like all encompassing, where I could put in things that were around like I put in like an amazing eyeshadow palette that I loved, and I put in like hyper skin. They put out like a new glow mask. I put in Danessa Myritt's like light work eyeshadow. And so it was like I do look back in my emails. Also, to another point is like I do look back in my emails at what I've received, and even if it's not right away, I could hit you up 2 months in being like, now I have something, you know? So know that even if somebody isn't responding to you right away, like I really do think it's a long game. It's about definitely, you know, letting us know and you know, keeping us on our email list for new launches and things that are coming up, but also knowing that like it may not be that instant gratification. It could come in like 2 to 6 months where things are really starting to pick up, and I've thought of you, and now I have an amazing placement for you.
Right. That's a gem. This is a long game. And I think, you know, social media, we talk about it, the good, the bad, and the ugly often, but it has sort of created this popcorn instant effect. I have to put it in the microwave and something amazing and delicious has to come out. But I say often too, you know, as a Black beauty brand founder, um, you know, we always get a lot of press around Black History Month, or we always get a lot of outreach in March for Women's History Month. But there are 12 months of the year, 365, 24/7. We need to be telling our stories, amplifying our stories, and connecting with the outlets and the talent who is going to be working on our stories around the clock year round. So it is that long game. So you might not get that response. You might not get the email right away. You might not get the follow back, but it really is about remaining consistent, like you would with putting out your content, but also being consistent about trying to build these relationships. I have to talk about the flip side though. You know, there has to be something that may instantly turn y'all off from a brand or a pitch. So if you could highlight or talk about a mistake that founders and publicists should not be making when they reach out to you or your peers, what is that? What is the absolute no-no?
Sending me long DMs. I think it's okay to like introduce yourself over DM or shoot one over, but I think like keep it short or ask for my email or but for me I feel like now everyone like just because we're all kikiing in our DMs, sometimes I feel like I'm in my DMs being very social over my iMessage. And so I think like if initially reaching out, keep it short because I'll get overwhelmed with me personally, I get very overwhelmed with what to do with long DMs. So
Yes. And this is coming from a woman who utilizes social media very well. Like, again, Darian is just not this entity, you know, just this machine. She's also a human being. So be mindful of sliding in people's DMs and what you're sending them in their DMs. Asia, what about you?
For me, I absolutely cannot stand when somebody emails me and tries to connect like something horrible going on in the world and then going into their pitch. It is just the most cringe thing to me. So like for instance now, like don't be like, oh my gosh, it's horrible watching the news and like the war going on in Ukraine, but like, you know, I have these new red lipsticks coming out, because it is just like no, like it's very cringe. And I feel like they tried to do it in like, you know, a conversational way. I feel like it was really, really bad in 2020 when the Black Lives Matters protests were going on. Was just like you have to know and understand boundaries, and sometimes like it's okay to just put the pitch on hold, or it's okay to be like, hey, I have to get this out and I don't want to mention this because I feel like it just comes off with a negative connotation. And so for me that's like the number one turn off, because like yes, I see the news, but also like yes, you have to tell me about this launch. It's okay, like we don't have to mention that. Or if the timing is really just wrong, like it's okay to hold off because we're not saving lives here. Like it's okay.
I say that all the time. Like we work in really sort of like glamorous sort of roles and industries, and we have access to amazing things and experiences, and it's important the work that we do, but nobody is on the operating table when we clock in and clock out. So, you know, it's okay to take a step back. And going back to Chloe earlier, the urgency doesn't always have to be there. You know, you definitely want to refine it and get it right. And I have to agree, Asia. I think one thing, I have many jobs now. I have many roles. So in addition to AMP, I have an editorial background. I still receive pitches to this day. And I absolutely hate it when I get a cold email and they're like, they've gone and scanned my LinkedIn page and they get a fact wrong. I had someone say, you know, hi Angel, I think you've done such great work volunteering with Catholic Big Sisters and Big Brothers. And I'm like, I haven't volunteered with them since 2014. But thank you for pulling that nugget, you know, and trying to draw some line of connection. But again, I think the authentic approach and actually just saying, hey, how are you? I would even like to have a conversation with you and get to know you more. Darian, what are you working on? That would go, I think, a lot longer. It does go a lot longer than trying to randomly pull something or equate a stat about Black women in beauty in the intro of your email to think it's going to grab on to us. Darian, did you roll your eye on that one? I think we lost your audio for a bit. Can you hear, Darian?
oh, okay.
There we go.
Yes, I was a little bit because it's so true. And I think that if anything, it's better to speak in a more conversational tone where like we are all so abundantly aware of our of the disparities and we live it. And so I think that you can kind of go in with a little bit sometimes of that understanding, especially if you know you are pitching a Black woman and it is around something that has to do with diversity or equity or our experiences.
And this is kind of in line with that conversation. I do want to go back to 2020. Asia, I think that was such a, not a pivotal moment for the Black American experience or the Black experience at large, but a pivotal moment for America specifically to sort of have a reckoning. We were all home. We were all forced to be home, and America had to sit and sort of take a look in the mirror and deal with what was going on. Um, there's been some change. I'm not going to necessarily say progress, but there has been some change. But I think in that moment, I was still at L with Chloe, and I experienced a little bit of fatigue with the um, the pitching and the conversations and the outreach that started, really wanting to focus on the racial inequity, Black Lives Matter, George Floyd's and Breonna Taylor's, and people sort of targeted me because I was the Black girl who did video for Elle, right? I think it's something I see now on the business side when editors and stuff reach out to me cold for stories. They say, oh, that's the Black girl. She has that Black business with her Black friends, so they can fit into this Black nugget. But I want to just talk or hear about your experiences. You know, how do you allow for that nuance in your professional, you know, world? You do so much more than just cover Black beauty, but obviously you carry that responsibility and that desire to want to amplify it too. So how do you sort of walk that line, and what experiences have helped you sort of refine how you are a Black woman in this space, but also just a talented writer, a talented being in this space as well?
I mean, I could start just because I feel like Angel, we were like in the trenches with this. I feel like one, it's relying on people like Angel and Narisha. Like I feel like summer 2020, we had our group Slack where we would just like full transparency type be like rolling our eyes or like, you know, having to speak for the whole Black community in meetings when it's like not something you should ask of anyone. So I feel like I completely struggle with this because I want to amplify so many Black voices. And I also, oh my gosh, my dog losing it, and I'm saying something important too, and my dog like is a racist, I guess, but I want to amplify so many Black voices, but I also don't want to tokenize or just be used for, you know, this specific content. And it's like, how do you strike that balance? I think what's been working for me is that I just want in the content and the work that we do in the Black space for all Black bodies to feel seen. And I think it still holds prestige to be Black and be an L because historically we weren't. So I think that is like a huge momentum, and I don't want to ever like negate that with my personal feelings of being like, you're just, you know, wanting Black content. I think the best way going about it is just offering more seats at the table. Like my dream would be Elle was all Black everything, you know, like there should be a million more Black editors at Elle. It should just not be an afterthought. It should just be such content that speaks to the Black community and speaks to like a number of communities that it's just an afterthought. And I think that's the way I approach my role. Like I'm so lucky to be in my position where I get to oversee beauty. So now my complete job is just to make sure everyone else gets a byline that's Black, you know, everyone else gets a cover, everyone else gets these opportunities. Cause like, I kind of am so fortunate to be where I am. All I have to do is, you know, make sure everyone else is getting their shot and doing it bigger and better than me for our community. Sorry, my dog is evil.
That's all good. Asia, what about you?
You know, I find myself having this conversation so much, especially when I'm at like Black beauty events, because it's so interesting to me that when it's just, you know, a shampoo, let's say from whatever, and a product that or a brand that is not Black owned, you know, we're there and everyone else is also there. But when you go to a Black brand, you know, that's launching a shampoo or launching a hair serum or something like that, 9 times out of 10, it's only us there. And it's so interesting to like, you know, we do the double work and like finding what works for us and finding what works for everybody else. And it feels like everyone just kind of is like, oh, well, the Black girls are going to handle, you know, what works for them. And it's like, no, you actually should like, if you love beauty or, you know, if you're such an expert in beauty, how you say you should be, that doesn't just include that, because the world includes us as well. And so I find myself having this conversation all the time. But for me, you know, as a Black girl, like naturally, the stories I think of are always going to be, you know, nails. Like, how can I talk about this? How can, my fashion fair story I recently did, it's always going to be centered around Black women, and it's not, a tokenism thing, because I am Black. For me also, I feel like in my career, growing with a Black woman as a boss has helped me a lot, because it's helped me just feel confident in my work and know that, hey, if I pitch this story, I'm not scared that it's going to be turned down, because she understands too. And I think that having that experience has really, really guided me, and helped navigate these spaces.
Yeah, I have to tag on to that. One thing I say, I have two phrases that I live by at Amp Beauty LA. One is skincare doesn't stop at your neck. Take care of your body from the neck down, exfoliate, moisturize, hydrate, all of that. But the second is, Black owned beauty is not just for Black people. I think the same can be applied if you switch that out for Asian owned beauty, Latinx owned beauty, beauty that is helmed by someone that's a part of an underrepresented group. We have amazing ingredients. We have products with amazing ingredients, quality ingredients. They will work for all. And, we don't do that same sort of tokenizing when it's a white woman who launches a beauty brand, or a white man who launches a beauty wellness brand. That is not presented with the label of white woman, white man. It is just a new brand. And what works for, we're not like foreign. What works for Black people can work for all, especially in the color category, especially when you think about skincare. I know hair textures may differ, but there are people with curly hair who could probably benefit from a nice deep moisturizing mask that these amazing Black owned or Latinx or Asian owned brands are putting out there. So Black owned beauty is not just for Black people, not just in the coverage side of things, but also on the shopping and consumer side of things as well. Darian, I wanted to shift a little bit to you on the curation sort of piece. You are our resident curation expert. When I think of you and your stories and the work that you do, I think trend spotter. You actually know what the real trends are. You are, driven by the conversations that are happening that are so relevant, but you also bring gravity to the situation. And I find it, kind of difficult to sort of launch a brand and maintain a brand voice, but also be up on what's happening in the world, whether it's a political issue, a socioeconomic issue, or just some fun pop culture news that landed. So, what is your take on staying relevant, being current, knowing what's happening as a brand, but also being thoughtful and authentic to the story that you're telling for your product or your client or your business?
Yes. First of all, thank you so much. And I think these are actually like my two tips that I give people who either one are in media and journalism, or they're in beauty, or just to people who I feel like are, I don't know, just into knowing about all the things, right? Or staying on top of stuff. One is very simple. It's stay curious. I think that it is really, really important to follow Twitter accounts, pick up magazines, follow people on Instagram who you may not on the surface seem like you have anything in common with them, but you can understand and recognize that they're doing something intriguing or cool in your opinion. I think that also, even to that point, like, trust your own instincts. If you say something is cool, it's cool. Period. Like, I don't like feeling insecure about my taste, about my feelings, what I see. But I think that if you are someone who is kind of just like embracing new thoughts and ideas into your media diet, whether that even means like, I follow some newsletter with this man who does construction. And I know nothing about construction. I don't open his newsletter every day, but just the awareness that like other people are existing outside of your personal bubble, I think really helps you to just like give you this eye for what's driving conversation. And then the second thing is specifically for beauty brands, is make sure that you continue to talk to people outside of beauty as well. Make sure that you're talking to your younger cousins. Make sure that you're talking to like your aunt. Make sure you are talking to your friend who works in tech about what she is, what definitely beauty, but also just like what they are interested in as well. I think that kind of like using just the combination of those two, of just making sure that you are just kind of like keeping tabs on different parts of like beauty and culture in areas that like you personally are interested in but maybe not know a ton about. It just like does something, I feel like, to the rhythm of how you can pick up on trends, how you can pick up what people are really interested in. And I feel like my background in this area is really what has helped me to figure out my pitching, figure out what I want to write about, because it is really in connection to what I see people talking about. It is very much in connection to like what people are hitting me up on the DMs or in the comments about or want to know more about. So.
Right. And I feel like being in tune and being aware of what's happening, like you said, outside of just this beauty bubble is important because, of course, we have our editorial calendars or our content calendars, but a war is happening. This might not be the best day to post about that new lip gloss. There's a protest that happened last night. Today might not be the best day to launch your new bundle kit for, hair extensions. So I think that that's really important. We can't only tune into what's happening in beauty and those trends, but we also have to have like a total scope. You want to know what is really happening in the world, because I think that informs and makes it really apparent to the people following you and supporting you that, hey, they have a sense of what's happening in the world and they're just not here to sell and push and push. They're here to really engage with me. So I love that. I love that. I want to sort of flip the pitch conversation because, we've talked about ways that brand founders and publicists can get in touch with you all or share stories that really pique your interest. But you all are people who in your day-to-day have to pitch stories as well. You're not just picking out what you want to cover, you're also pitching and fighting for stories that you want to be told as well at your own organizations and outlets. And I pulled three, a story from each of you that I really loved and found really inspiring. And I want to sort of hear a little bit about your pitch process on taking that story from ideation, from idea to paper to print. So Chloe, I will start with you. I'm so proud of what you are doing at Elle, specifically with the state of Black beauty. I know that launched in 2020, and you recently took this idea, this digital online social entity, and it ran in print. So one, you got a cover. Amazing. Congratulations with it. Narisha Penrose, who wrote that cover story, got a cover. Congratulations. So proud of you, Narisha. But how did the state of Black beauty come to be at Elle? What was that pitch process like?
Yeah, no, thank you. Also, Angel, we got a cover because Angel is being modest. She was very integral in the state of Black beauty back in 2020 with Narisha and I. So we all got a cover. We pulled it off.
We got a cover.
But yeah, no, I think we're state of Black beauty. I feel like I looked at it more like I have control of this one area of, this whole entity that is Elle. How can I make it like the blackest thing ever? And I think that was how we all went into it. Like, this is I've gotten the power, now let me just like exploit it. So I think state of Black beauty has been such a long process, and we had to pause it and launch it again, pause it and launch again. Even the Mary J cover was actually supposed to go before I went on maternity leave in August, and then it got pushed to October, and then it actually came out in January. So I think Mary J. Blige, I think I pitched it 3 times, which is to say that that's not like a normal thing that you would pitch. And it was rejected 3 out of 3 times to be even in the magazine. So the fact that we got to cover it, it was just, I was listening to a podcast the other day, and it was like Edward at British Vogue, where he was saying like, you don't know what goes behind the scenes. You just have to keep working and working and working. And I look at it like, I think Angel's been in meetings where it's just like, you got to block it out and just be like relentless, you know? And I think that was the vision for State of Black Beauty with Narisha and I. We were like, we can do something really, really cool. Just block it out and get it done. And I think when we had the final project and we presented the final project, I feel like they couldn't say no. You know, they were like, yes, this is, because I think we put it all our eggs in our basket, because I think that's where kind of Darian comes from when she says like, you got to believe that if this is cool, then it is cool. And I think we were thinking like, no one can do it better than us. We just got to pull this off. So literally sit on cover, was only a 2-person team, which is great. But that's just a 3-person team because Angel shot all the video. But yeah, so I think it's just determination in your vision. And I think our vision is so clear that we have this spot on the internet that celebrates Black culture that we have complete control over. And like, we're fighting for something that we believe in. And that's kind of how it came about. And it's easy to do. Yeah. The package is just pure joy and celebration of Blackness. So yeah, that's kind of keep your hand on the steering wheel and just like keep driving. And then, Narisha gets her first cover. She gets her first byline. It looks super sick with Mary J. Blige. So, it's just, it's all worth it. But yes, definitely a long road to getting things like that.
I love that. First of all, like Mary J. Blige is just a beauty icon for everyone, I think, and has been for decades. So the fact that got rejected is a huge eye roll. But of course, I know the inner workings of that organization and how that can be. But I really appreciate you for really leading that charge and still doing it, even though you got rejected. Those 3 times, you still did the story, still did the shoot, still had the graphics, still had the layout planned. So it was going to get done anyway. I really love that. And going back to State of Black Beauty originally, I know it got put on a pause in 2020 with all of that was happening in the world with the police brutality, Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, the stories, and it was a low time. It was a very low time, as a lot of times have been, just being Black in America and having to put on a face and still do the job. And I loved that because it was like, it kept getting pushed back because, riot, America is on fire, the world is on fire. But like you said, it was also an expression of Black joy. Like our Black experience is not just pain. It is, but it's pain, and we get up and we go to work and we go on and we put our lipstick on and we still have joy. We're still going to dance later on. And I just love that. We don't have to only focus on bad as it relates to our communities and pushing things forward. We can also celebrate the moments where we have joy. We have these many facets, so let's celebrate it. And I really loved that. So I have to applaud you. If you guys are watching and haven't checked it out, Google L.com, State of Black Beauty, Chloe Hall, Narisha Penrose. They are the masterminds behind it. And it's a really, really beautiful journy.
Angel Lenise's audiograms. You should check those out. Those are my favorite parts.
Check it all out. Check it all out. Asia, you mentioned this earlier. You talked about your piece for The Cut, which I really loved. Fashion Fair did it first. Fashion Fair does not get the credit that Fashion Fair deserves. What was that process like? And I have to say, before you get in, I'm seeing stories at The Cut that I would not have expected. And I think Lindsay Peoples-Wagner is a key element of that. And I'm seeing stories in the beauty and fashion space that I would not have seen. And I think Asia Ware is very key in getting that done. But how did Fashion Fair did it first come about?
So for one, it was just a super exciting story because this is my first print story ever. But funny enough, it started out as just me. I was just going to do something small for the website and interview Kiki Ayers, who is their ambassador. And I was like, I remember, growing up, my aunt used to wear Fashion Fair. Like, they're coming back, they're relaunching. Like, this should mean so much to millennials. Like, we have to cover this. And I was like, the fact that they're relaunching with Kiki and she's a dark-skinned actress, like, and just looking back on like all their ambassadors they worked with, that like from like Aretha Franklin, like it was just such an iconic thing. And when I spoke to my editors about it, they were like, well, we think, this can be something for print. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I've never done print, how does that even work? And I actually ended up partnering with Patrice Peck to write it, which was like amazing. And we just did so much reporting on it. And we got to find out so many different things about the brand. And what I loved is like we really got to connect like the old school with the new school. I mean, like we
Yeah.
talked to like a 90-year-old woman who has not worn any other makeup outside of fashion fair. And she's a doctor, and up until we're talking to like a counter manager who worked at like Lord and Taylor years ago on Fifth Ave, and she's like she used to come in there with her driver like once a month, know exactly what she wanted. And so like connecting things like that with like this 90-year-old doctor who was like such a fashion fair fanatic to like traveling to the Hanifa show and talking to Fashion Fair sponsored the Hanifa show and talking to the models backstage about what it meant to be walking not only in a Black show, but to be sponsored by, Black makeup. And a lot of these models who have walked in other shows, their New York Fashion Week, Paris Fashion Week, whatever, and to be sitting there and not see, their skin tone shown or something like that, and to feel uncomfortable backstage. And so to bring everything together from back then to now and just really stating like they did it first. Like, yes, I feel like Black owned brands are really, really growing now. There's so many there's so many coming out, every month, every 2 months, whatever, you have a new brand. But Fashion Fair really, really like set the tone. Like our moms, our aunts, everyone, that was their beauty brand, and we learned beauty, a lot of us, from them, seeing our aunts get dressed, seeing our moms get dressed. I know for me that's how it was, and a lot of people I talked to, that's how it was. And so I feel like it is just such a huge part of our legacy. And so working on that and being able to do it for the cut and being able to do it for print was like really, really huge to me and really important. And the reporting behind it was just like super fun. And yeah, that was an exciting one.
I love that you said bridging, like thinking intergenerationally too, and going back decades and going back years. You know, as a founder on that side of things, we often look to like our contemporaries, like what is our competitor doing? What is this brand that launched last year doing? You know, Glossier, I think for a lot of beauty brands, no matter what their target is, sort of this benchmark. Fenty Beauty is this benchmark, and often it's, you know, it's an unattainable model, especially when you're new and you're starting off. But Fashion Fair has been here forever. You know, Luster's has been here forever. You have these older, storied, established Black owned brands, like you have established white fashion houses and beauty brands that have been around for decades. And it's not for not, you know, it's not just because they had the most poppin' social media campaign. You know, your business lives offline as well. So I try to and are doing and have been doing for decades and years to sort of drive what we want to do and what we aspire to do at Amp Beauty LA. Darian, one of my favorites was your piece on Megan Thee Stallion and her Hot Girl Summer pageant. I really loved it because it came out in a time when Megan was sort of becoming more mainstream and a lot of outlets weren't giving her the time of day. I remember, and Chloe, you were there. Elle Digital and Elle Video did a feature on Megan Thee Stallion years ago, and it was sort of her first fashion moment. And we wanted to run it online, and higher ups in print were like, "Who is this girl? She's raunchy. I don't like it." Then a couple months later, she was on the cover of another publication in our tower, Harper's Bazaar. Killed it, beautiful, amazing. But speaking to that trend lens that you have and just knowing what's going to be hot, how did that story come together, and how were you able to really rally to get it done so early in her career?
Yeah, so I wanted to really talk about this story for two reasons. One, because I think that Meg is a great brander and marketer of herself, and I want to talk about that and how it relates to beauty brands and what I think beauty brands can learn from Meg. And then I'll talk about the just the pitch XYZ. I ultimately was able to get that story in because one, I knew the right editor at the right section of the New York Times that I felt like would read the pitch. And then also I was able to tie Meg the Stallion to something like timely that she was doing in LA and during a date. And so essentially what the story was that Meg the Stallion had she held a beauty pageant, and whoever won in the beauty pageant, she gave them scholarship money. It was all around because her whole, one of her like talking points, or, one of the things we know her for is that she continued to go to school. She was doing her career and she was still in classes. And so she wanted to, support other students as well. And so she was having a beauty pageant that was during like BET weekend. And I just had a feeling that this was something that like came from her brain. Like I just had this sense that even if it was somebody on her marketing team or events or whoever it was, I still felt like this was something that she wanted to do. Like the authenticity for me was just there. And why I say that Meg is such a great brander of herself is because she actually knows how to take her work, what she has done, and her notoriety, and actually like decenter herself to put a spotlight on other people and to support them in what they're doing. And I actually think that if more brands across the board, like not just black owned brands, not just beauty brands, like really actually understood how to do that, and more viewed themselves as the facilitators, more viewed themselves as the platforms, more viewed themselves as the ones with the space to really actually like shine a light on other people, you would attract more people like me. I guess is the lesson. I don't really know. But I think that it was more of the sense of, therefore, in the pitch, I was able to, number one, tie it to a girl who it was very clear that she was on the rise. I could pull in, even though she didn't have big like fashion features, she was getting covered for her music in New York Times already, and also in Pitchfork and these other places. But I wasn't pitching it to the music section. I was pitching it to the style section, right? So I was able to pitch it to the style section because Meg was having a beauty pageant, right? She gave me the alley-oop in like many ways, where I was like, she understands her audience. She actually is doing something that is not only about herself, and the pictures are going to be amazing, right? She's created this IRL space, and I really do think that IRL spaces are still really important. And so I was just really able to like make a case and like bullet point out to my editor what was happening, what I think we should cover. And I was tying it also to something where like we were gonna also get pictures of other people, of other contestants, of people dancing. And so yeah, that's how that story really came to be. And I felt like all of those factors just like made it about more than just like, oh, I just want to do an interview with Meg, right? Where it was like, at that point in time, I knew that she wasn't going to get that, even though I knew that she deserved it, right? But I was like, okay, since like everyone around me or like these editors I'm talking to, like I know they don't get her yet, let me just like do the thing like in the way where this isn't going to be like my Meg feature cover, but this is going to be still an opportunity to interview her, to talk about her, and to place her within relevancy, because she is relevant, right? She knows again how to decenter herself, bring other people in, have a hot girl summer, like she creates movements really that are about more than just her. That's what hot girl summer is all supposed to be about, is like all of us. And so yeah, that's why I love that story.
Yeah, I love it too. And of course we see where she is now. So some people are regretting those moments when they told her no. And I hope she tells them no when they're trying to circle back. So we are coming up on time. We've actually hit our mark, but I do have one last sort of rapid fire question for you ladies before we sign off. And it is my version of what are you wearing? The beauty edition, of course. So I would love to hear from each of you 3 Black owned or inclusive beauty products that you are wearing or use today. And I can kick it off. I am wearing the LA Lash from Ashley Kennedy, California. It is a vegan luxury lash line that is available at Amp Beauty LA. I am also wearing the AJ Crimson lip gloss. It's my favorite lip gloss. It is shiny but pigmented and so luxurious, and it lasts all day. And I adore AJ. He has the best lip glosses in the game. My absolute favorite. And the third thing, I am wearing Edge Control for my hairstylist, the Tame Edge Control pomade from Sadiddy Hair. She's an amazing hairstylist based in Los Angeles. Follow her, check her out. Those are my 3 Black-owned beauty products that I have on right now today. Darian, what are you wearing?
Well, I did cleanse my face with Klur, which I love. I love Klur's cleanser. They also have an amazing body oil. I'm actually wearing AJ Crimson lip gloss as well. I love the lip glosses as well, so shout out. And then what else am I wearing besides like Fenty, which like Fenty is obviously a Black-owned brand, but I think that another brand that I'm super into right now that I very much do often wear is Danessa Myricks. I love Danessa Myricks. I love her foundations, and if I'm not wearing something from her, then I'm probably wearing like Rare Beauty, which I actually do enjoy. And I also love Hyperskin as well, skincare. I'm very big into skincare, beauty,
Yeah.
Black-owned brands.
Yes. Okay, Rare Beauty shout out. Selena, got some good stuff going on over there. Chloe, what are you wearing?
Okay, yes. I know I'm into skincare too because mine were all skincare. So I think I'm Beauty Stat, the vitamin C. He was a chemist who was I'm sure you've seen him on Instagram. He's big there. But he has the best vitamin C because it's 20%, which I love. So I have that on. We the People, their green cleansers is really good. I'm really into soft skin. So I am wearing 54 Thrones' body butter. Yeah. Oh, the other one I would say is Pound Cake. I'm like obsessed. They like won an alert award even before they had launched their product. But their red lip is so good. I'm like, and they sent a pound cake and it was so good from this like random brand. But anyway, it's their love pound cake. So
Love it. Love it. Hey, Pound Cake. Asia, what are you wearing?
Oh my gosh. First of all, I also love pound cake. That pound cake they sent, I
pound
think
cake,
about it
I want to
to
drop
this
them. I
day.
want them to start a beauty line. That pound cake was the best
Honestly.
tasting pound cake I've ever had in my whole life.
Honestly, I shared it with my mom, and she literally asked me like a few weeks ago, like, "Can you find out where it was from? Because I want to gift it to somebody."
From
I'm
like
like,
Minneapolis. It's from somewhere random. I know. I need to find it. That pound cake is like the best. I'm so glad you said it.
But the brands that I'm wearing today, so I literally had to do a quick face. I just got off a flight a few hours ago. And my go-to quick easy face is my Ami Colé concealer and her lip gloss, which I just absolutely love. Well, it's really a lip oil, but I just love, first of all, the Universal Nude is like the best. It's super hydrating to the lips. And I just line it really quick and throw the gloss on, and I'm good to go. And I have on blush from Skin Glass by Noor. Noor Face is an based makeup artist who I literally love all of her skincare products and her makeup products, but her blush especially is like my go-to. And my third product, I haven't Bread hair oil. I love their hair oil. I love all their hair products.
Yes.
like
And
their
it
hair oil
smells so
too.
good.
It smells so good.
Yes.
Always make sure my leave out blends nice and silky. So that's my 3.
Awesome. Well, thank you, ladies, so much for joining today, dropping so many gems, sharing what you're wearing. I'm so proud of you all. I'm so glad to know you and really appreciate your support of AMP today and all of the amazing guests and attendees who tuned in. Thank you, Darian, Chloe, and Asia for joining. Make sure you all who are watching head over to our Instagram at Amp Beauty LA. Look at our most recent post, and you can find handles for all of these amazing women. Again, I have to shout out Switcher Studio, who powered today's session. And we have a treat for those who are tuning in. If you are interested in Switcher Studio or building a live stream experience like the one you saw today, you can use the code AMP Academy at switcherstudio.com for 3 months free. So make sure you guys check it out. Follow us, find these amazing women, read their stories, and make sure you tune Stay tuned because we have more AMP Academy coming up throughout the rest of this month. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.